Hey guys, welcome to Development Day 2, and I hope that these are useful to you. Give a little human, uh, a little bit of humanity to something rather than just looking through a PowerPoint. I mean, I think my PowerPoints are good, but I designed them for me to be there. Anyway, so also um, it allows me to say emphasize this, but don't emphasize that. That's another good thing. Okay. All right. So now this first part, adolescence, I don't really have a whole lot to say about that as far as what's important. This is an interesting slide, but it's nothing really to take note of. In um, in traditionally, adolescence starts with women the first period and ends with marriage. But I don't think, according to this chart, as you can see, that doesn't really work out very well. So, what is adolescence? I would say adolescence ends at 18 based on frontal lobe development, but that's just what I see. Um, Puberty, that's more of a middle school thing. You guys are still going through it, but you still get your little hormonal outrage and stuff, and some of y'all still do some dumb stuff, but yeah, I don't know. I don't really know much about it. I don't really want to talk about it. Now, here's something that I've seen once on the AP exam and that you might find interesting. When we talk about secondary sexual characteristics, we're talking about things that have to do with sex and reproduction, but are not directly related to making babies. For example, females have breast and men get the deep voice. All of that is secondary, okay? Um, Hips, um, those are not directly related to making babies, but definitely related to pushing babies out. Body hair, that is a secondary sexual characteristic. Okay. So, what is primary sexual characteristic? Well, those are directly involved in making babies. That's the ovaries and the testicles, the vagina, and the penis. Okay. So, you got to have those to make babies. Okay. Again, this might be interesting, but this is basically when puberty starts. I've never seen any of this on the AP exam. Okay. All right. So one question I've ever seen: primary sex characteristics include which of the following? So which one of these is primary, not secondary? And the answer is C. The answer is C, ovaries. Okay. All right. So let's get on. Not my favorite topic, but there's always a question on this on every multiple choice AP exam. So there was a guy named Lawrence Kohlberg, and he studies moral development. And moral development is a very big trend in colleges right now. So I usually would expect to see something about this on the multiple choice part. And this is what I have students write down. So according to Kohlberg, he says we go through stages of morality. We have pre-conventional. Think of that as a kid, and we all suffer from this at times. But the morality of self-interest. Is it right to steal a candy bar from Walmart? Yes, because I want the candy bar. That's pre-conventional. Conventional is the rules are rules. Why aren't you going to steal that candy bar? Well, because it's against the law, and I'm not. I don't want to break the rules. And then post-conventional. I like to call this hippie morality, where we do things for the greater good. And all of these are measured by the Heinz dilemma. Now, which reminds me, I need to put this on the Google Classroom, but I will give you access to the Heinz dilemma, and you need to watch it. Okay, so pre-conventional morality, morality of self-interest. I chose this picture because littering is a real thing for me, because it's like, screw you, world. I don't want to throw this in the garbage can. I hate littering. That's just a personal thing. Their actions are either to avoid punishment or to gain rewards. I'm sure we've all been there, okay? Conventional morality is good boy morality, good girl morality. I'm going to follow the law just to follow the law. Okay, rules are rules. And also, oh my God, what would my friends think if I were to break the law? Okay, so imagine if Martin Luther King wasn't conventional morality. Well, it's against the law to parade without a permit in white areas, so I'm not going to do it. Well, then we wouldn't have Martin Luther King would never have been famous. So we need to consider post-conventional morality. Morality based on universal ethical principles. So let me ask you this. Is it moral to protest against the Vietnam War and to blow up a building that you know is producing napalm? Is it moral to destroy private property and to break the law for a higher good? Well, if you say yes because of universal ethical principles, that's what we mean by post-conventional morality. Okay? And Carol Gilligan, now I've only seen her once on the AP exam, but she was a professor back in the 60s, and she was asking students about whether or not they were going to go to the Vietnam War. And she said that their answers did not fall anywhere on Kohlberg's standard levels of morality. She says that Kohlberg undervalues relationships. Some people said, I'm not going to go fight in the Vietnam War because of how my family will feel. Some people said, I will go fight in the Vietnam War because my family will be ashamed of me. But she is a critic of Kohlberg, and she says that Kohlberg is very male-centered and that it undervalues the role of relationships in making moral decisions. I sound like I know more than I do, but I really don't know much about Carol Gilligan. I've seen her once ever. Okay, so remember to use the pause button if I'm going too fast and you want to think about these questions. All right, Hernandez explains to his son that the speed limit is 55. He tells him to stay under the speed limit when driving because it's the law and will probably prevent accidents. So what level is this? The answer is C. Now, looking at B, that's something I'm going to teach you in a minute, but that is conventional morality. That's not an AP question. This is an AP question. Carol Gilligan's critique of Lawrence Kohlberg's stages of moral development focuses primarily on, and the answer is E. The answer is E. Okay? All right. Sorry if you can't see that. Okay. A conscientious objector refuses to engage in combat because he cannot support the taking of human life. So which level is this? This is hippie morality. The answer is B, post-conventional. Okay. All right. And so I will put something up on the Google Classroom on that. Okay, so now moving right along, we are going to talk about something very important about the theories of Jean Piaget. And as you can tell by his name, he's French. And Piaget was a good guy. He used to go and watch children play. A creepy old man like to watch the little girls play on the playground, watch the little boys, So, it sounds creepy now, but that's what Jean Piaget did. And he learned by watching kids to come up with his stages of development. And you need to pretty much know these. So I have students write this down. These are the stages, and you need to be able to describe each of these stages. So it's a little overwhelming. So let's talk about the sensory motor stage. So if you look at the word sensory motor, you've got senses and you've got motor. Birth to 2 years. So think about, what does a typical 6-month-old do? What does a typical 1-year-old do? They use their senses and they crawl around. They like to see things. They like to touch things. They like to put things in their mouths. That's sensory. That's motor skills. That's what kids at this age do. Okay. So moving right along. So sensory motor stage, that's age 0 to 2. The infant learns about the world through their sensory and motor interactions, including reflexes. They lack object permanence. Now, this is best explained through video, but if you ever thought about what happens when you play peekaboo with a 4-month-old, you cover your face and they literally think you don't exist anymore. And so object permanence, and this is best, watch the videos I gave you, but when you cover up their favorite toy with a blanket, they literally believe that the toy disappears, that the toy ceases to exist. Okay? So this is my daughter Lauren playing at a pediatrician's office. It's hard to look at that thinking of all the germs going around, but that was her. Okay? Now, so then moving right along to the next stage of Piaget, we call that preoperational. Preoperational, this is how, now look at the years, 2 to 6 years old. So what do kids do during that year? I came up with a way that I hope helps you. Preoperational preschool. Preoperational preschool. So this is preschoolers, before kindergarten. There are a couple of words that you need to know for preoperational stage. One is egocentrism. Now, ego means self in Latin. Okay? Centricism, center. So basically, no, I get it. You know, when you talk about somebody who's narcissistic and you think, dude, you have an ego problem. All right, I get that. But with little kids, they don't have what we would describe as an ego problem. They literally cannot see things outside their own perspective. For example, let's say I'm depressed. And my little man, this is my daughter at the Dallas Zoo looking on that picture. So what is she going to do? She's not going to do what I want her to do. She's going to bring me her favorite toy. Okay, that's what kids at this age do. They think, well, if I was depressed, then I would want my favorite toy. But the reality is I just want a beer, but she brings me her favorite toy. That's egocentrism. She literally cannot see things from my point of view. She can only see things from her point of view. Okay, so there's a good video on that I assigned to you. They also lack conservation of mass. What does that mean? Well, before that, also they like to give animalistic qualities to inanimate objects. So if my daughter were to scratch my car, I would say, "You hurt the car. You say you're sorry to the car." And she'd go, "I'm sorry, car." You know, it's like, you hurt the car. You say you're sorry. You hurt the couch. You do that, and then tell them to say you're sorry for breaking things. It helps. I've never seen this on the AP exam, but it's called animism. So this is best explained with a video. But basically, if you take 2 beakers of the same size and you pour this beaker into this taller one, and you say, "Hey, kid, which one's more? Is it this one or is it this one?" They'll go, "That one's more." You'll see that in the video. I don't want to go over that because you'll see that in the video. But they don't understand that when the mass changes shape, that it doesn't change the mass. We understand that mass remains the same volume, the same size, but they don't understand that. So with the checkers, they think the bottom row is more. Okay. All right. So make sure you watch those the videos I gave you. When 10-month-old Frances throws her toy out of sight, she looks to see where it falls. So she has developed object permanence. She knows that it still exists even though it is out of sight. The answer to this is D. Understanding that things continue to exist even when they are not within view, that is called object permanence. Okay. All right. Okay. So, okay. So a young child is shown a 9-inch round ball and a 6-inch round ball containing equal amounts of popcorn. Says he is certain the smaller bowl has more popcorn than the larger bowl. So this child has yet to acquire what Piaget called, and the answer is D, conservation. Conservation of mass, conservation of liquids. Egocentrism, animism, and artificialism are characteristics of which of Jean Piaget's stages of cognitive development? Okay, so in my head, I'm picturing a kid, a young kid, but not too young, but preschool age. Preschool. The answer is B, preoperational. Preoperational. So here's my daughter on her first day of kindergarten. Okay. Now, in the next stage, from 6 to 12, kids are in elementary school. So I thought of this. I thought, this is how I remember it. Elementary schools are made of concrete. Okay. So we call that concrete operational stage. So they won't fall for the graham cracker trick that you'll see in the film. They do struggle with advanced logic and they do struggle with metacognition. I will explain those terms in a second. And the video will explain the logic. Okay, so watch the videos. Okay. And then finally, formal, final. Formal, final. You are in this stage, I am in this stage. And so in the formal operational stage, you can engage in logic, you can engage in what's called metacognition. Now, metacognition is in what way do you best learn? Okay, metacognition means thinking about how to think. Okay, so like, would you rather learn at 3 a.m. or at 9 a.m.? If you were to ask a sixth grader that question, they may not be able to answer it. Okay, it sounds simple to us, but thinking about thinking is metacognition. Okay, formal operation, manipulate objects in our minds without seeing them. Imagine, what would the world look like with no light? It's a very abstract question that a middle schooler would not be able to answer. We would struggle with it too. Okay. So metacognition, thinking about thinking, awareness of your flaws and awareness of your preferences in learning. For example, I would describe myself as a visual learner. So hit pause if you want to take a look at this, but this is metacognition. So hypothetical and deductive thinking are characteristic of which of Jean Piaget's stages of cognitive development? So this sounds pretty advanced to me. So I would go for the final stage, formal, final, formal, final. The answer is E. So Piaget, is he perfect? Some say that he underestimates the abilities of children. Now, as a father of a very intelligent child, I kind of maybe think so. Another criticism would be that kids gradually increase their intelligence and their cognitive development rather than in just stages. Like, you don't just go to bed in the concrete operational. and wake up in formal operational. It doesn't work like that. It's a little bit more gradual. And then there's the idea of attention span, that maybe adults have better attention spans than children do. And then that should count for something. Okay. So metacognition refers to, hit pause if you need more time. The answer is E. Which of the following is an example of metacognition? The answer is E. Okay. Modern research on Piaget's stages of cognitive development indicates that, and the answer is A. A. Okay. Now, this question I struggled with. Conservation of matter is mastered in which of the following Piagetian stages? So I missed this one. I thought, okay, preschool, that's when they struggle with it, but then they master it when they get to kindergarten. So the answer is C. Elementary schools are made of concrete. According to Piaget, what is the earliest stage at which a child is capable of using simple logic to think about objects and events? Simple logic. I hope I get this right, but I'm thinking the answer is D. Yes, because you can get a fifth grader to do simple logic. Okay. All right. And that is it. Thank you very much. All right. And have a good day.